Quick question, who the fuck is this? This guy right here. If your answer was Spider-Man, then you're wrong. Because this is the fucking GOAT, baby. Let's fucking go. I just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day like 2 days ago, and I wanted to make a review on it so bad, dude. And I had to stop myself, like restrain myself from watching everybody else's opinion on this because I did not want it to influence my own. And I also wanted to sit on the movie, for like a couple of days to let it simmer, let it marinate in my noodles so that I can form opinions on it and see if it holds up. Usually with like No Way Home, the hype was real for the first couple of days, right? But after the maybe like second or third day, you kind of feel like, yeah, it's a good movie, just not a fucking mind blowing movie like everybody was making it out to be. It was all just the hype. So I wanted to make sure I don't get carried away in the hype. And baby, after a lot of quiet contemplation, I can tell you this movie slaps, dude. This is a certified banger, a certified classic, a generational movie. I'm gonna tell my kids about this movie, dude. Holy, this was such a great movie. So everybody already knows the suit looks fucking banging, dude. Holy, the suit looks so good. And just like the fucking Amazing Spider-Man 2 type shit, it has like wrinkles and ripples and shit when Spider-Man moves around. That stuff is so cool. The colors are really vibrant and they just like pop off, right? And the face looks really nice. People were having this, not a complaint, I would say it was just a sort of meme, because there was no face shell this time around. So it kind of like mimicked like a face. I don't know. So you could see the fucking banana outline of Tom Holland's face or whatever the fuck, right? So it kind of looked goofy in the memes. But to be honest, in the movie, it looked really nice to me. I did not even notice it, if I'm being honest. But maybe for the one scene in which I noticed it, or not even noticed it, in which I remember it just being there, the face thing, it just kind of looked like a comic book panel, dude. If you've read the comics, in some of the comics, they do have that kind of a face. So, not a big complaint for me. But it is a really funny meme. So yeah, apart from the suit, this is a really like a minor, like not even a nitpick, but I don't know, this feels really weird, but I really like the webs. I don't know what to say, like the actual webbing that Spider-Man fucking shat out of his fucking wrist holes, and even his web shooters. The web looked really nice and it felt really like spider webby. So, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, if you look at his previous works, the webbing kind of looks like, I don't know, man. It looks kind of off, and really cloudy, if that makes sense. But in this one, the color is like really nice, and it feels like really intense webbing, especially during the end where he does a thing. I don't want to spoil it for you. But it does look really nice. Also, I'll give you a quick warning before I get into the spoilers, so don't worry. This is just the non-spoilery type review, if you want to keep it at that, right? We'll get into the weeds of it a little bit later on. The story is really nice. I was really scared about the story walking into the theater because, well, there was no indication of what the fuck it was gonna be, right? We kind of expected it to be a Peter Parker-centric movie, right? Which everybody wanted, Nobody goes into the cinema to watch a Spider-Man movie to just look at Spidey, right? They want Peter. They want the real meat behind the mask. And that's what this movie was supposed to be. And that was all fine and dandy. But apart from that, like, we did not really have, at least I did not really have a clear idea of what the movie was gonna be. Obviously, we did have a lot of speculation around the main villain sort of thing, right? But even then, it was what I had thought the story was going to be. It was completely different from that. And that's not a complaint because the story was really nice. There's only like just a minor, teeny, tiny bit of a complaint that I have, which is very spoilery. So I'll get into it later on. But other than that, man, the story is watertight. It focuses on Peter Parker. It focuses really heavy on his Spider-Man antics and the toll it takes on him, being Spider-Man. And it feels like a really classic Spider-Man type story, dude. Takes you back to the Sam Raimi era, even in some parts, maybe Andrew Garfield, but it is heavily like a really comic booky Sam Raimi era type Spider-Man movie, which is not a complaint, dude. That's the biggest compliment you can receive from a Spider-Man fan. From a Spider-Man fan, right? So, loved the story, loved how they get through it, because even if the story is nice, the way in which you progress it, if it's just like, yeah, you know, shaky and janky, it doesn't just hit the same. Every story beat hit right on the fucking bullseye, baby. It was really well executed, and I just loved it, man. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of fun to be had, a lot of exciting things, and just some more emotions. So yeah, that's it, man. Like, the story is just on spot, dude. It's a really classic Spidey story, which I think if you're a Spidey fan or even just a superhero fan, Marvel fan, what have you, you know, you're gonna love it. The characters are really nice, and their chemistry with Peter is really nice, you know. Especially Peter and Frank's relationship and the way they played it out. Beautiful, man, beautiful. Uh, uh, Again, there's one more thing which I wanted to say about them, but it's a spoiler thing, so we'll get into this later. But especially Spidey and Frank's kind of relationship that they have is really beautiful, man. Really funny as well. You know, hits the mark. It's not like, oh, fucking cringe Marvel comedy or some shit. A really younger brother and elder brother energy that they've got going on. Really funny, really heartwarming as well. A lot of heartwarming scenes with them, to be honest, right? And Frank, I thought he would have like a minor role in this movie. Looking at the trailers, I thought it was just gonna be one of those like Marvel things where, yeah, the character comes in for like one scene and then they're gone. But Frank has a really, I would want to say important. You know, he's an important character to the movie, and he adds a lot to Peter's personality and character development as we progress through the movie, and the movie also gives us a lot of insight about Frank's character itself, you know, and they sort of help each other grow throughout the movie as well, dude. I really loved their relationship. Just really fun stuff. Peter's kind of dynamic with the villain, you know, not gonna name them, but that was really interesting and really well executed as well. That's the part where I have a small little complaint, but other than that, I feel like that was done in a really good fashion as well, you know. Nothing to complain about that as well. The action in this movie, holy shit, dude. Shout out, dude. The action in this movie is so good. The action in this movie, dude, it comes in hot. It comes in swinging, dude. Holy. Like, the way the action scenes are directed, dude, it's just really fun, dude. Of course, like you saw in the trailers, right? They have recreated a lot of the comic book panels. Not panels, like cover images. Those scenes are really nice, really well shot. One of the best scenes is the final fight. I don't want to spoil it for you, but dude, that fight looks sick as well. And every other fight that Spidey has, it's really well shot, and especially the camera work, dude. The camera work was a real highlight for me. Even more so than the choreography. The choreography is not fine. It's really nice, you know. But what makes it is the dynamic camera work that they had going on in each and every fight, dude. Especially the final fight, which I'm talking about. So, the fight and action scenes are 10 out of 10, dude. Like, zero complaints at all. Like, really creative, really well choreographed, and camera work is fucking insane, dude. Really creative. I really love the fight scenes in this one. Really gets your adrenaline pumping, dude. Very nice. Same goes for the swinging scenes, dude. One major complaint for me in all of Tom's movies was they did not really have like grandiose Spidey swinging scenes, you know, sequences or anything like that, which is a staple for a Spidey movie. Like, let's be real, right? And even when they did have a sort of a swinging scene, it always, I think it was because of their heavy reliance on CGI, but it always felt really floaty and did not really have any weight or momentum behind it. The swinging scenes in this movie are a fucking banger, dude. Again, the camera work there is really creative as well, like really dynamic, and it feels really weighty, you know, like whenever Spidey swings through something, you can feel like the real weight behind it. I don't know what I want to say, but feels really nice and realistic is what I'm getting at, right? But yeah, those swinging scenes are a highlight as well, dude. They're really well executed and feel really punchier this time around, like really beautiful. And finally, I feel like the way in which the movie wraps itself up, you know, the ending, that's also really well put together. But if I'm being honest, this movie did have a very minor problem, but other than that, the ending and the way they pulled everything together in the end was really phenomenal. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better ending myself. It did not feel like out of the blue or anything like that, you know, for most of the part. Peter's whole dynamic that he had with MJ and Ned in this movie as well, really well written, dude. Really well written. I was scared that they were gonna go the cliched route with MJ and Ned, you know, and it was gonna ruin the movie and shit like that. But But to our surprise, they the writing was really well. Let's just let's just put it that way, right? They did not go the cliched route, and they took the road not taken, right? And it was really beautiful and really heartwarming as well to see the relationship and kind of see how it has evolved and shit like that, you know. But like MJ and Ned have forgotten about Peter, right, and his existence. And one of the big things that makes us grow as a person is the people around us, right? And especially the people closest to us, like our best friends and who do we hang out with, our girlfriends, our lovers. And they shape us as a person as we grow up, right? I thought if since they've forgotten Peter, how are they gonna show that, you know, since Peter hasn't affected their life per se, how come will it affect their personality? Will it change their personality? But if so, then is Peter all that they have? They will have their own like core character traits, right? That regardless of Peter, they were gonna blossom these traits or whatnot. And I was kind of wondering how they're gonna juggle around that, because you have to show that they have changed in some capacity, that they're a different person, because they don't know Peter, they have no fucking recollection of him, right? So all of the influence that he had on them, you have to sort of make it go away without just like completely doing a 180 on their character. Like MJ is not like a crack whore suddenly, right? So because that would just feel out of character. But from what I saw in the movie and the feeling that I got, it was really well played by the actors. In every scene that MJ and Ned, especially MJ, that they were on the screen, it did feel like, even for Ned, dude, it shout out to Jacob and who the fuck is it? Zendaya, right? Shout out to their acting, man, because it did feel like some part of their soul was missing. Like they were still the MJ and Ned that we knew and had grown up with, right? But since they had forgotten about Peter, there was this small part of them that was missing, and without just showing it outright, I don't know, but somehow they just brought that feeling in through the screen. If you get what I'm saying, right? So that was a huge plus for me as well, dude. Really beautiful stuff. And obviously, before ending, you know, I would like to shout out my boy Tom Holland, Spider Man. His acting was fucking. I don't know how this movie was just so good. I forgot to yap about Tom Holland. Oh, holy, what the fuck? But let me just put that right out there, you know, before moving on to the spoiler shit. But Tom Holland as Spider Man killed it in this one, dude. Easily his best performance. I have loved Tom as Spider Man ever since Civil War. You know, he brings that energy of a teenager, and we've kind of been around the same age. Not me and Tom, but me and the Spider Man that he plays. You know, because if I remember correctly, I was the same age when as his Peter Parker when Civil War came out, and right now Tom's Spider Man is out of college. I'm out of college, a graduate, right, unemployed, on antidepressants, and recently lost a lover. So yeah, really relatable Spider-Man, if you say so. But he really kills it, man, as this guy who's, you know, sort of just trying to make it through life. He's out of college, he does not really know what he wants to do. He's on what I think are antidepressants, right? He's just living on takeout food, like a really shitty out of college experience, and they get it through the screen in a really gut wrenching manner, dude. Like there are whenever Tom Peter would be on screen, I was just like, hey, that's literally me, you know, type shit. So really gut wrenching and tugging on your heartstrings type performance by Tom, dude. His Spider-Man was amazing, as we talked about, right? Because web swinging, the action scenes, they're all really wonderful. The humor is there, all of that shit. His character progression, as I said, with his friends and the antagonist of the movie, all of that is really well put together as well. But when the thing that we're here for, you know, Peter Parker, Tom kills it in this one, dude. Easily his best performance. You know, he had some good performances in the previous movies, but this one he fucking knocks it out of the park, dude. Made me shed a lot of tears in the theater. I'll get into the detail later on, right? The specific scenes which like really struck me hard. But man, what an amazing Spider-Man portrayal. Sorry for that, but a generational performance by my boy Tom, dude. Holy, easily the best Spider-Man. Well, I mean, he's been the only Spider-Man, but even if you count Spider-Verse, even then, man, the best, like, I feel like on-screen Spider-Man which we've gotten. in the last fucking 10 years. Or even so, if you consider like Andrew Garfield now, even then, I would say better than all of those boys. So yeah, Tom was fucking wonderful. Spider-Man, you're gonna love him. Peter Parker, you're gonna love him even more. The movie is fucking fantastic. Go watch it! What the fuck are you doing? And yeah, now let's get into the fucking spoiler shit. So one of the best scenes of the movie, dude, was when MJ says to Peter, like, I don't love you. Oh man, that was just heartbreaking, dude. My god, what the fuck? And that was quite relatable as well, kind of reminded me of the last conversation I had with my ex-girlfriend. So yeah, kind of. Anyways, let's get back to Spider-Man. So that was a really nice scene, dude, because I was afraid that, what I was saying before, right? That they were gonna go the cliched route about, like, Ned suddenly remembers, like, something happens, and, well, if we're being honest, that happens, right? But especially for MJ, like, Peter's gonna kiss MJ or some shit, and she's gonna remember, oh, yeah, well, love, your first kiss of the love, or whatever the fuck they call it, right? First love's kiss, or whatever the fuck it is. And she's gonna remember it and whatnot. I was like, ah, man. And then when it did happen, I was like, what the fuck? When Jean Grey, obviously, Sadie Singh is Jean Grey. Ooh, the main villain is Jean Grey. That was really, really dope. I don't know why I did that, but that was really nice. Really cool. But when she had taken over MJ's mind and sort of molested Peter and MJ in one fell swoop, two birds with one stone type shit. And then she suddenly remembered. I was like, oh, please let this be a dream sequence or some shit. And, well, it turned out to be a worse thing than that, Fucking Jean Grey moving in diabolical ways. That is not something. What the fuck is that, dude? You're gonna play with someone's mind and heart like that? You're gonna not only molest him and his lover, you're gonna give him hope and snatch it away? Kind of like what my ex-girlfriend did for a period of time there. But that scene was really powerful as well, when it was revealed that Jean is just fucking with him. Kind of also cemented her character as, like, what the fuck she's about, So that was really cool. That was a really dope scene when the reveal happened. And I really liked that scene. And coming back to what MJ told Peter about, oh, just a minute. Yeah, about her not loving him. Fucking loved that decision, because if it was just like, yeah, you kiss him and then you remember him, well, what the fuck is up, right? That's just really cheap, and just does it just does not work. And I still want to see Peter suffer so that I can relate to him. How's that gonna happen if he has a loving girlfriend, So that was a really, really good writing decision, and a bold one, if I'm being honest. If you look at Marvel's history, they usually go the safe route, but this was a really bold writing decision. Really respect the writers for that, and it stuck, dude, because that's what you expect, dude. You're just not gonna just remember someone and start loving them again, right? So, really loved that scene. The swinging scene that Peter had after he saw MJ kissing the other guy, whoever the fuck it was, that was really nice as well. Really reminiscent of the Spider-Man 2's melancholic swinging scenes that he had going on. That swinging scene is probably my favorite swinging scene, dude. Where Peter just does not have a costume. He's just all sad and lonely, just swinging around, dude. Holy shit. Again, really heartbreaking. I actually cried in that scene, and when MJ told Peter that she does not love him. So that was really well put together. Another scene which made me cry was the finale, the whole finale sequence in the hospital, where Frank has his pep talk with Peter. Not even a pep talk, but they have a moment that they share together. Frank sort of cries, and they're having this really nice, sweet moment that made me cry. And then right after that, when Peter exits the hospital and Frank's doing that shit, all excited and giddy, and that also pulled at my heartstrings. But the real fucking hammer was when, Peter looks around and he's like, it's not really, he does not say it out loud, but you can kind of get again, man, shout out to Tom Holland's acting, dude. That dude is fucking insanely talented, but he gives off this feeling of feeling like Peter finally accepts that, oh, well, people still love me, dude. I'm still fucking Spider-Man. And especially when that kid does this, to Peter, and he does it back. Oh my god, dude. What a fucking powerful scene, dude. That made me cry as well. Really nice, really nice. Jean Grey as a villain, dude. Finally, you can talk about her. Really fucking amazing villain. I really loved her. And if you had to introduce any X-Men, fucking Jean Grey is the way to go, baby. I just loved the way they played out her character, to kind of get that sort of like feeling about Jean Grey, through the entire movie. By the time movie ends, that she has this explosive personality and power to her, where if she loses someone, she can just let loose. And when she lets loose, she's a fucking Omega level mutant. I don't think she has the Phoenix Force in her in this one, or I don't know what the fuck they're doing with it. But she was really powerful in this one as well, and it was just a really beautiful character arc you go through with her. Story was really nice and simple, her backstory. You can kind of root for her. And to be honest, I was already expecting this because, well, the moment it's Jean Grey, they're not gonna fucking just make her a villain, right? They're gonna make her a sort of misunderstood hero type shit. And when you talk about a sister and all, I could kind of gauge where the story was going. But even so, her just her character was written well enough that it does not get in the way of her story being more on the simpler side. The real highlight was the way Peter kind of talked no jutsus her, same again, really reminiscent of Spider-Man 2. But this time around, man, I really like the pep talk that Aunt May gives to Peter. And as she gives it to Peter, sort of, she also talks to Jean, even more than that, I love the pep talk that Peter gives to Jean, the moment they had about being lonely and sort of being special, and Peter says, well, you have me. Such a Spider-Man thing to do, dude. Holy fuck, that is a really, really, really Spidey type scene and a really Spider-Man-y dialogue. I fucking love that scene. I cried on that one as well, Aunt May's scene was really heartwarming as well. But I feel like the moment that Peter had with Jean, that was more gut wrenching and more visceral for me. Fucking destroyed me when Peter just said, you have me." Such a really cool Spider-Man, dude. Like, yeah, this movie just has you feeling like you're watching Spider-Man again, dude. What can I say? Really well put together scene. And that's the only complaint I have. After one or two pep talks, Jean kind of just lets it go, which you can also attribute to the fact that, well, she wasn't evil to begin with. She was just looking for a sister. She found that her sister was dead. She kind of went buck wild. And sometimes if people aren't evil, inherently, and they're just crashing out, all they need is a small little pep talk to pull them in, so it kind of works in that regard as well. It wasn't like Jean was a cold-hearted murderer for half of the movie, even though she kind of projected herself to be as such. And then she suddenly makes a 180 and she's like, oh, all roses and fucking sunshine and rainbows and whatnot. You can still kind of understand her development as a character, and does not feel like it's like, oh, what the fuck, But still, I feel like if they had a couple of scenes where she kind of, Peter kind of let her infiltrate his mind, and she kind of, I don't know, felt what Peter went through, and then, she was already accustomed to the pain that Peter, I guess she already was, because she was already talking about him and shit. I don't know, dude. But I feel like if the thing I'm getting at is if Peter and Jean had more of a screen time and more of talks together before the final pep talk Pete gives her, right? Even just one scene, I feel like it would have hit home in a better way. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have. The ending that we have is still really nice. As I said, does not come out of the blue in hindsight. When I got out of the theater the next day, I did really feel like that it was just a really abrupt, not like a but kind of abrupt, a transformation of character. But in hindsight, now that I think about it, Jean was never really like a piece of shit, So it is in character for her to kind of just crash out and then have a 180 after she's expended all her rage and feelings, So still works. But if you had to make it better, if you wanted to make it better, if you wanted to try it, you can probably do that. And that's the only kind of complaint that I have with the movie. Otherwise, dude, it's just a fucking fantastic movie, dude. So, I mean, man, I really don't want to yap about the entire movie and each and every, small little detail that I loved. I just want to say, man, this is a really, really special movie. Actually, after watching it and, contemplating and thinking about it for a couple of days. Easily the best Spider-Man movie we've had in the last decade, or in this generation of Spider-Men that we're getting, right? Miles Morales and Tom's Spider-Man. Uh, Before this movie, fucking the Spider-Verse movies were far better than any of Tom's movie, but this movie easily clears all of the Spider-Man movies for me, save for Spider-Man 2. I mean, come on, man. This is gonna sound really dumb and really cliched for many people, but for me, Spider-Man 2 still feels a bit more special. Aunt May's speech about everybody needing a hero just hits a lot harder. What can I say? What can I say? That movie is just better, dude. I don't know. But this movie is not lagging behind, dude. It's just right there, fucking grabbing on its tippy toes, you know? But if you don't need to compare it, dude, you know, not every movie needs to be compared to Spider-Man 2. This movie, what the message that it was going for and the beats that it was trying to hit, it did it really well in a phenomenal fashion, dude. Not even really well. Fucking generational Spider-Man movie, generational superhero movie, genre defining at this point, you know. And I don't know what to say, dude. Like, any buzzword that I use, any hyperbole that I use, it's gonna be understating the impact of the movie that it had on me, especially the way in which it hit me, like the relatability that I had with Peter throughout the movie. Like, if you're an out of college student or even just like in college, this movie is gonna hit really close to home for you. And man, just go watch this movie, dude. I'm telling you, you're not gonna be disappointed. An easy 9.9 out of 10. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because that is reserved for Spider-Man 2 in my heart. Alright? So there you go, man. Just a solid movie. Second best Spider-Man movie of all time. One of the best superhero movies. That's all for today, dude. I'll see you in the next one. See ya!